Hello lovely, so I'm doing this video in the hope that it helps other parents by hearing our journey with our daughter's hip dysplasia diagnosis. I'm also hoping that it gives parents a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel by hearing how our daughter, she's 18 months, how she is doing 18 months after her diagnosis. And lastly, this video is a follow-up from my first hip dysplasia video that I did. I will put that up here and link it below. And yeah, if your child, your newborn, has just been put into a Pavlik harness and has just been diagnosed with hip dysplasia, then I would really recommend that you go and watch that video first and then come back and watch this one. Like I've said, I've linked it in the description down below so you can get to it really easily. It's just got sort of tips and tricks of how to cope, and it's from parent to parent, and I think it's just really useful. A lot of people have commented and said that they found it a really useful video. So if you've just found out that your child has hip dysplasia, or they've just been put in a Pavlik harness, or any kind of harness, doesn't have to be Pavlik harness, then go and watch that first. So first up, I'll give you a little bit of backstory into our journey so that it's not completely out of the blue and you have no idea what I'm talking about. So at birth, our daughter Juno had her newborn checks in hospital, literally, you know, routine checks. Every newborn has them just a few hours after she was born. And in those newborn checks, they detected that she had loose hip sockets, and clicky was the word that the midwife used, that she had clicky hips. So we were referred to the hip dysplasia clinic at the Children's Hospital in Brighton. I think she was about 3 or 4 weeks old when we had that appointment. But yeah, she was referred there, and to be honest, I kind of thought nothing more of it. So obviously we went to that appointment, we had the ultrasound, and they confirmed that Juno's hip angles were out and that her sockets were loose and that she did have hip dysplasia. So she was put in a Pavlik harness then and there. We left the hospital with her in a Pavlik harness, and she had to be in it 24/7 for the first 2 weeks. And then, yeah, that's kind of when our journey started. We had appointments every 2 weeks. At one appointment, we would just go in and have the harness readjusted to her size. And then the following 2 weeks, we would go in and have another ultrasound, and they would adjust the harness again. They were really happy every 4 weeks at the ultrasound with her progression. And I think in total, she was in the Pavlik harness for 13, nearly 14 weeks. So about just over 3 months. So yeah, she was in it for about 3 months. And after the 3 months in the harness, her hips were declared healthy for her age at that, and at her size, or I can't remember what the language was that the consultant used, but nevertheless, they were happy with how she was developing and how she had taken to the harness. So we went away, and I think the advice we were given was to just carry on as usual, as if it hadn't happened. Don't be wary of her bearing weight, just literally let her do exactly what she wants to do and figure everything out for herself. And that is exactly what we've done. So fast forward to now, and she is a beautiful and busy toddler that is constantly on the go. She has checkup appointments with her consultant at the Children's Hospital in Brighton every 6 months. So we've had 2 since she had her harness off, and she's got another one in January, I think, sometime in January. And basically at those appointments, she has an X-ray of her hips, and she has a physical examination, and she has a visual examination. So I'll just quickly talk you through what happens, because it can sound quite scary, and I was really nervous the first time we went. I was like, oh, is this gonna hurt? Like, no one tells you what to expect. You just kind of go into it blind. So I'm going to be that person, and I'm going to tell you what to expect. And luckily, there isn't much to expect. The X-ray was literally over in a second. So you do have to take off their bottom half of their clothing. So that's shoes, socks, whatever they're wearing, and their nappy. And you just lay them down on the bed, and you're allowed to stay with them. You have to wear a protective outfit. If you're pregnant, you can't. So my partner did it when we'd found out that I was pregnant, but the appointment before that I did it. So we've both done it, we both know what to do. And you literally lay them down and we just sang a song to her, and within a second, 2 seconds, they've taken 4 x-ray pictures and they are happy for you to get up and get changed. So that part of the appointment is over in just a flash, and Juno has never got upset by it. She's always been quite interested in like what's going on. She takes in her surroundings and she's very aware of different people, and she likes to kind of look around and see what's going on. So she finds that quite interesting. So once we've had the x-ray, we then go to see the consultant who goes through the x-rays with us. We've never had any negative feedback about the way that she's been developing. Obviously, I understand that some people probably do, but this is just our personal experience. They've always been really happy with how her hips have been developing and how her pelvis looks. And that's the first part of the appointment kind of done. The second part of the appointment, again, I worried was going to be a bit invasive and a bit painful, but she has never cried. She's never been upset by it. And it's basically a physical examination. So Juno just has to sit on mine or my partner's lap. And the consultant kind of just, I guess manipulates is the right word, but it's not in a negative way. He just holds her ankles or sort of her thighs and just rolls her legs in certain movements just to, I guess, feel how her sockets feel and how her hips feel. And she's never been upset by it. Again, she finds it quite interesting, and I think she's probably laughed at it before. But he's never had concerns with that. The last part of the appointment is a visual examination. So they will just watch how your child is walking, how they bear weight, and if there's any concerns there. And that is literally it. And I guess, like with us, if they're happy with how all of that is going, then you just get booked in for 6 months' time. I'm pretty sure our consultant said at our last appointment that he's going to do this one for 6 months. And then if it's still progressing and he's still really happy with it, then we won't see them for a year. But I'm pretty sure we stay under their care until she's 5, and that's when we're discharged, which is amazing that they're going to continue to monitor it until she's that age. Yeah, the care that we've had has been absolutely brilliant. Even at the beginning, I was so upset. The moment they were putting that harness on her, I was crying. You know, my baby was 4 weeks old. I was trying to breastfeed her to comfort her. Sadly, my partner didn't come with me because I kind of just thought the appointment was a formality and that it wouldn't, like, my daughter's not going to be diagnosed with hip dysplasia. That's exactly how I thought. So I was like, I've got this. You stay at home and work. We'll go and do this on our own. And oh my goodness, I did not have that at all. I was really upset. And there's a lot more about that in my first video. So if you're still watching and you haven't watched that one yet, then do go and check that one out after. But yes, so now let me give you that light at the end of the tunnel, because so we were told during appointments when Juno was a lot younger, I think it might have been when we had the harness taken off, and it was kind of like, okay, it's off now, but your child might develop physically a little bit slower. So we noticed that with Juno because she was in the harness until she was 4 or 5 months old, nearly 5 months, I think. So she couldn't sit up in her harness and she couldn't roll in her harness. It didn't allow her to. So she wasn't learning those skills. So we definitely saw that she was behind with those. She actually never really got into rolling. She loved sitting up when she could, but she never really got into rolling. So we did see a bit of a delay with those, but they said to us she might be a late walker. There's absolutely no concerns with that. It might just take her a little bit more time to feel comfortable with walking. Well, she wasted absolutely no time. So it was September when she started crawling. So she was 7 months old, and we were like, amazing, like she'll probably walk when she turns 1 or just after she's 1, like she's crawling now, she's mobile, she can move around. And we were really pleased with that. But no, Juno is so determined and always has been so determined to do what she wants and get to what she wants, that as soon as she could crawl, she was crawling to objects like sofas and tables and pulling herself up, using her upper body strength to pull herself up. She's always been really strong. So by the time she was 8 months, she was kind of cruising along surfaces, not letting go, not walking, but shuffling along and could move around. So we were like, okay, this is interesting. How long is this going to last? And then when she was 9 months, she took her first steps, unaided, without, like, unassisted, without either of us holding her hands or helping her. And then it just kind of quickly took off from there. And I think towards the end of 10 months, close to 11 months, she was fully walking. I mean, she was walking at Christmas, and it's just continued to go that way, really. She's 18 months now and she's cruising along. She runs everywhere. She plays football. She loves dancing. She climbs up and down stairs now, just holding the barrier. She bum shuffles down the stairs. She can jump. She jumps off of things. Everything, her physical abilities, I think we're so proud of them, and we continue to be shocked by them because the doctor said to us everything would probably be delayed for her. So we just can't believe how amazing she's doing. And that's what I want this video to be for you guys. I want it to be a little bit of light. If, you know, you're having a hard time at the moment, or if it's not going the right way, it will eventually, and your child's hip dysplasia diagnosis will not hold them back. They will eventually be running around, playing football and bouncing on trampolines and having the time of their lives. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and do check out the first one if you haven't yet. I think it's a really good one. It's more kind of tips and tricks based, and it's just like a big warm hug from another parent that has been going through it. And trust me, I really went through it emotionally with this. It took me quite a while to get my head around it. My first baby, I wasn't expecting it, and I found it really tough, probably more so than my actual daughter did. She was not fazed by the harness at all, but that was, yeah, a whole different story. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week for my weekly upload. Lots of love. Bye.